Good evening, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all on the 18th Foundation Day of our institute. On behalf of the whole IIIT-Bangalore community, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our Director, Professor Sadgopan, and esteemed Chief Guest, Dr. Ganesh Margabandhu, General Manager, Transformation Leadership, IBM India, Professor G. Shainesh, Professor Marketing and Dean Administration, IIM Bangalore, and Ms. Sita Lakshmi S., City Editor, Chief of News Bureau, The Times of India. We also have Professor Kukil Khanikar and Professor Lakshmanan Mahato from IIIT Dharwad. There are also a couple of faculty members from Myanmar Institute of Technology, Myanmar. In addition, we have Mr. Naresh Shah, Head of HPE India, and his wife Kriti joining us. At last, Mr. Hemchandra Rao and Mr. Anshu Jain, who are our alumni, are also here to grace the occasion.
15 September, the historical day when the foundation of our institution was laid. It's amazing to see how we have transformed since the establishment in 1999 and how our students and scholars cover the globe in their search for knowledge and meaning in industry and academia, and their contributions are making a difference everywhere. And what a great coincidence that 15 September is also celebrated as Engineers Day in India as a remarkable tribute to the greatest Indian engineer, Bharat Ratna Mokshadagudam Vishvesarya, popularly known as Sir MV.
To begin this propitious occasion, may I invite Satvik and group to invoke the Almighty by a very beautiful prayer song. Also, we'll have our traditional and auspicious lamp lighting ceremony as a tribute to Goddess Saraswati, the Goddess of Knowledge, by Director Sir and all our honorable chief guests. Please, sir.
महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं वसिष्ठवामदेवादिवन्दितमहागणपतिम् महादेवसुतं महादेवसुतं गुरुगुहनुतं महादेवसुतं गुरुगुहनुतं पारकोटि प्रकाशं शान्तं पारकोटि प्रकाशं शान्तं महाकाव्यनाटकदिप्रियम् महाकाव्यनाटकदिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदगाप्रियं महाकाव्यनाटकदिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदगाप्रियं पमगमरि सरि सनि स पमगम पादनि सरि गम मरि सरि सनि पमगमरि सरि सनि स पमगम पादनि सरि गम मरि सरि सनि सनि पमगमनि पमगमरि स रि स सनि पमरि स रि गम सनि पमगमनि पमगमरि स रि स सनि पमरि स रि गम महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं
Thank you, Satvik, Aniruddha and Kumresh. Foundation Day marks a day of remembrance, a day of honoring and day of celebration what has been achieved over the past 18 years and a day to look forward to what is yet to come. Now, I would like to invite our esteemed chief guest and our director sir to please come up on stage. I would like to invite Director Sir to welcome everyone.
Good evening, friends. It's a very special day for us at IIITB because On September 15, 1999, a few things were just happening. So, Professor Dinesha, Professor Mahabala, and I, we were the only 3 faculty members. We had 136 students, for whatever reason, had put their faith on us. In fact, these 136 were selected out of an entrance exam where 4,079 students took. So that is actually something special about India, right? Everything is large. We just had about 25,000 square foot of space in a rented building, and the person who actually built it again had some faith in me because I had 0 bank balance. Government of Karnataka has conveniently put a GO that 10 crores will be released, but nothing was happening, right? And in spite of that, these 136 people, 2 of them are actually here today, Hemchandra and Tom Neenan, okay? So So as one of my IIM friends put it, okay, it was everything perfectly aligned for a true disaster. That is precisely what IIIT-B was on September 15, 1999, right? So we have come a long way, and looks like we have survived, grown, and as they say, when you complete 18, you actually become, you are no longer a child, you are a grown-up adult, right? And that is what we are today. So, in some sense, there is no reason why we have succeeded, but somehow we have succeeded, in spite of all odds against us. So obviously, we kind of celebrate this day. And the reason why we choose this 5 o'clock, I think Hemchandra and Tom would remember. On that day, at 9, Professor Mahabala went and had his class. And 10:30, I went and had my class. And then Professor Dinesha went and had his class. We had 3 classes. And then people went, we didn't have hostels. We had an outsourced hostel. They all came back. And everybody wanted to ask us lots of questions. So we thought for convenience, we will have a town hall. And the town hall happened at 5 p.m. So that is precisely 18 years back. And Hemachandra would also remember, they asked all inconvenient questions. And we gave all answers which are completely irrelevant. But nonetheless, we survived, and that is how we are. And of course, we also have a couple of other alumni today. I think we have Anshu Jain, 2005 graduate, and he is a truly budding scientist in IBM Research Lab. And I'm not saying it, and because I don't know enough about it, but our own Manish Gupta, who used to head the IBM Research Lab, was fondly remembering Manish, how there was a nice tussle between the India lab and the Almadine lab as to who will get him. Okay, it's kind of nice. And we also have a 2016 alum, and somewhere, let us see. Okay, so very nice to have Priyanka also with us. So we continued, and she's doing very well, and she's the topper in her company. So in some sense, we seem to have done something right. That's the reason why we are alive and kicking and kind of growing. And by design, what we do on the foundation day is, because it also happens to be a birthday, we'll have a little bit of fun. And somehow, in the year 2000, when we were 1 year old, we decided on this format, call about 5-6 people, diverse as possible, young and old, corporate, media, civil society, startups. So we have very interesting people. We had Bombay Jayashree, we had Javagal Srinath, we had IIT former directors, IISc former directors, we had former chief secretaries, we had one of our earlier foundation day guests, Mr. Ashwini Kumar is with us. He was the CMD of Bharat Electronics, one of the big defense electronics company right in this city. And students used to ask me, sir, why are you calling more people? Because you are not giving them enough time. But my own answer is that When different people come, you get to listen to different perspectives. And more important stuff is, you will Google them. I think what they say is important, but who is saying is much more important. We also are joined by our board member, Mr. Naresh Shah. Welcome, Naresh, and his wife, Kriti. And it is so nice of Naresh. You all know he is the CEO of a big HPE. And in spite of his busy schedule, sir, it is so nice of you to have come. And that is how we actually have. And the other reason why is that I am a great believer in planning for redundancy. So we had invited an IAS couple, Manivandan and his wife. And it so happened, I will just read out Mani's mail. Good morning, sir. How much we both wanted to come. But Salma is in Delhi since yesterday, and today I am going to Delhi in the morning flight. I guess for next function at your place, we both will apply leave and be in the institute for the whole day. We wish you all the success. So it is occupational hazard, so they are not here, but I think they are very much here in their thought. And Shraddha from yourstory.com had she's not doing well, that's why she's not here. And while the students will formally introduce the speakers, let me have a minute for each one of them. And starting with Ganesh. Ganesh is a very big boss, that too in a big company called IBM. And what is nice about Ganesh is that he used to kind of manage several countries before, etc. And once he kind of called me for one of the big events where a few hundreds of people were there. And I asked him, I will talk on something which is as crazy as this. And he put up with me. The topic which I gave was the IBM that IBMers don't know. And there were 700 IBMers. I thought that, all of them will kick me at the end of it. But they were very nice. They gave me actually a good clap. So I think that is the faith he had in me all through the years. And I can tell you that I did not even call him. I simply sent him a mail. I did not even send a car to pick him up. He just comes by his own. So thank you. And that is something which keeps companies like IBM. And that is the reason why IIIT is kicking. We have people like him to support us so well. Thank you. Shainesh used to be a PhD student in IIMB in 1995 when I moved to IIMB. 96 he graduated. See, all of you who have done PhD know that toward the last year and a half or so, you were reasonably tense, you were reasonably kind of worked up, and generally you were not necessarily in a great mood. But Shainesh is one person who proves all that wrong. He is Mr. Cool guy. And we used to have so much fun. We used to have long discussions over cup of coffee, cup of tea, etc., etc. And he also did something which is unbelievable for most people who graduate out of IIMs. See, IIMs, I call it MBA is also a money BA, right? It tells you how important money is. So obviously the right thing to do after IIM is to go to corporates and earn a reasonable amount of money, right? So Shainesh did again a different thing. He came back to academics. He has been teaching, and currently he is a big boss at IIMB. He is a dean administration. All of you who have done administration knows, generally when you are doing this job of administration, you can't afford to smile. You generally have a long face and stuff like that. But Shainesh is different. So he continues to be Mr. Cool. And Shainesh, be like that all your life. I think the world needs more people who smile. Sita is another special person. So, see, generally they have been very nice to me. And when I get a chance, I do kind of give a little dig. So once I told Sita that, look, you newspaper fellows or the media fellows, you always claim, I said it first. I said, look, it will be nice if you can say, I said it right, instead of saying, I said it first. Every channel, every newspaper. So I thought that Sita is going to give me a long dressing down. Do you know what a newspaper is? Do you know how we run? Do you know how we manage our TRPs? Do you know how our customers are, etc.? But she said, sir, we agree with you. And I am troubled, right? If somebody agrees with you, you are in trouble. Because if they don't agree, we can argue. More interesting stuff. She actually told me something which is quite deep. He said, look, sir, you professors, particularly in computing and information technology, you manufacture jargon so fast. And you expect everyone else to know how unfair it is. She gave me one. Remember, this is about a few years back. And she said that those days, 5G was not there. You talk of 2G and 3G and sometimes 4G. And you also use something called 10G. And as a journalist, we think 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, there is something called 10G. But in reality, 2G, 3G are all, even the G stands for second generation, third generation, etc. They are standards for the telecom industry. The G in 10G stands for gigabit networking from the computer networking guys. They have nothing in common. But how will a poor journalist know that 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G and 10G have nothing in common? And that's our problem, right? We manufacture jargon and we expect them to know all of it. And she actually said, you fellows should also take some time, sit with we journalists and kind of take us into confidence so that we can write it right. Then there is no way we can become experts over time. But so two things I learned. One is I think maybe we should manufacture jargon at a lesser rate. Second thing is we should also spend time with them. And that's the reason why I invited her. Once again, send an email, and you don't even go to call them, you don't even go to invite them, you don't even call them, but they're all here. Okay? So I think give this tribe a great. And thank you all. Thank you for coming. And I said it is a birthday celebration, so we'll have fun. And of course, I also do a crime for which normally I should be punished, but you have been doing it year after year. You call people and ask them to speak only for 10 minutes. It is unfair, but in the scheme of things, I don't find anything else. Because if they do 3 hours, most of the kids will not be there. Sorry about it. So it is going to be short speech, but I am sure that you will discover them, engage with them, learn from them. Thank you, and thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Our first chief guest, Dr. Ganesh Margabandhu, General Manager Transformation Leadership, IBM India, is a respected leader in the Indian tech industry. In his 35 plus years of experience, he has held several key assignments across business lines. He completed his graduation in physics from Loyola College in Chennai and electrical and electronics engineering from IISc-Bangalore. He started his career in 1982 with Wipro, where he handled various leadership roles in sales and marketing. He joined IBM in 1992 and has held leadership roles in marketing, sales, communication and services in India and abroad. After holding several positions at IBM, in 2013, he was appointed as the General Manager of Global Technology Services for the region. He successfully transformed the technology services business to be the fastest growth engines for IBM. Today, he is the Leadership Transformation Coach, where he guides IBM executives and business leaders to unleash their potential and achieve higher levels of success. Dr. Ganesh is a certified executive coach, Marshall Goldsmith Stakeholder-Centered Coaching. He is a leader who spots talent from various leadership programs and grooms them to be exceedingly successful leaders themselves. He defines success as that of his team and takes pride in himself as a successful individual who has molded leaders to succeed. I would like to invite Dr. Ganesh to address the audience.
Good evening. First of all, thank you very much, Professor Sadagopan, for inviting me. It's a real honor. I got the email from Professor Sadagopan, and I was very delighted that he has invited me and I should be there. Okay? And in his true style, an email followed a couple of days later in terms of giving a very good briefing in terms of how much time you should spend. And he exactly right. And I was delighted because I've been going around to very many institutions and speak. This is the first time I really got a brief which was so crystal clear. Then he subtly said, Ganesh, I know you have been in IT. You love to come and talk about IT. But you know, my students, they're in triple IT. So 3 times more than you. Okay? So don't waste time in talking about IT. Maybe you can share with them something from your experience. So I thought I will spend the next 10 minutes. He did tell me that I believe in resiliency and disaster recoveries. So you got 6 speakers, now condensed to 3. So you said you can take a couple of minutes more. Okay? But I'll ensure I won't bore you. Okay? The other thing I really wanted to tell you, because the first time that I contacted Professor Sadagopan was sometime in mid-90s or late part of 90s when he came in from IIT Kanpur in IIT-Bangalore. And it so happened after reading his email, I was reading a book on simplicity. I forgot the author's name. I was reading in Kindle in Singapore. And so fascinating when I was reading in the book about how great people like Steve Jobs or even the current Mark Zuckerberg and tons of many stalwarts in the tech industry, they have only one type of dress. If Steve Jobs is known for his black round neck or t-shirt and a jeans pant, of course a very good expensive jeans he would wear. They don't waste the time in really filling up their wardrobe because they really want to spend as much of time in their work. And that's the hallmark of many great leaders. So I am still waiting for a day to see Professor Sadagopan in anything but white. So at least he's in the company of Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg and a few others, right? So I was just wondering, what can I leave with you in the next 10 minutes? I've been in the industry for 36 years, and I really believe I should have born in the late 80s or 90s. So much is happening in the marketplace, right? But if there is one thing that I really feel that you all should be looking at, you all should be looking at you as a company. So as this famous Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, has said, you got to think of you as a startup. You as a startup. You cannot be anymore depending on companies and even institutions like IIIT to take care of you. That only gives you a foundation. So the whole world from now on is going to be a startup of you. You're a born entrepreneur. And of course, when you work in a company, you may call yourself an intrapreneur. But you really need to take care of building your skills. And that is where I think the real challenge starts today. So I want to leave with you 3 messages. It's very simple, and I want to give you 3 words so that you remember it. Creation is my first one, completion, and contribution. I just didn't want to play around with English, but it so happened it nicely fits in, like Indra Nuyi's 5 C's, okay? Now, I want you all to believe that you are a work in progress. Again, Reid Hoffman talks about it. You are a work in progress. If any of you ask me, when will you be a finished product? The answer is very simple. When you are finished. Believe me, you are a work in progress forever. So you are a finished product when you are finished, which means you should have a mindset, what many people call, in computer industry we are very popular with that, permanent beta. You all understand that? How many of you done the beta testing of iOS 11 in the last couple of months? And it's going to be announced, I think, in a week from now. So you are a permanent beta. That means you're constantly looking for change. You're constantly looking for problems. When you are having a beta mindset, you don't get disturbed when a problem occurs. In fact, you have an aha moment. Hey, you know, I found the problem in iOS 11. You announce to the entire world. That's what a beta mindset is all about. Okay? So if you could build a beta mindset and make sure that you are a work in progress, you will be doing one thing, which will be continually learning. And the beauty today is with the internet, virtually you can learn everything that you need. It's not that you need to work in an institute or register yourself in Harvard or any big institutions like IIM or even IIIT. But you need to have a mindset to continually learn so that you build your eminence as you go along, so that you remain relevant. Why I say that? At 58, I believe I should be reading a lot more. So much we miss. So you realize when you start working, what a great opportunity you have in institutions to learn, right? So the first part of this thing about creation is, you got to create a brand called you. And that too, it has to be a digital brand. Just not WhatsApping and just not being in LinkedIn and then sharing few messages. That's the simplest of being social. It's being relevant. It's really getting powerful network, building relationship, people thousands of miles away. So how do you build all of that to create a brand called you so that people recognize you? That's a very important part of creation. The second important part of creation that I would like to again quote from Reed is, you got to plan for what he calls ABZ or ABZ planning, not ABC planning. What does it mean? You have to have a plan A. That's what you're going to be doing. And always, as you said, you believe in resiliency, you have to have a plan B. And sometimes in design thinking, you do that iteratively. You do plan B more. But like Ghazni Muhammad, you can't do it for 18 times. The world doesn't have the time. So the most interesting thing is, you got to have a plan Z, plan Z, which is definitive, which is certain. So that if something doesn't really happen in the reasonable time that you tried, don't waste your energies. Drop it, move to the plan Z. So how can you be a creative person? You utilize the resources and the time available to achieve the end objective. So that's the first one that I would leave with. And I will wrap up the first segment of creation by saying, when you are an entrepreneur, when you are a company of yourself, whether you work for IBM or HP or anyone, you manage your P&L. What does it mean? I didn't mean the profit and loss. You manage your professional life, not the company. Company is not going to sit and plan for you, okay, here is the game plan for you for the next 5-10 years. Forget it. Don't even waste time in thinking about for the next 5-10 years. Just do it for the next few years, because you don't know how things will change. So you have to manage your P&L, which is professional life, and if you don't do that, you also will have problem with your P&L, which is personal loss. So how do you really do all this is the first point about creation. Second one is completion. And I like this idea because working in the companies, people don't have passions to listen to what they call gyan. They say, look, can you complete it? But completed staff work is something that you feel good when you finish the project, okay? So how do you get that mindset of completed staff work in you, right? I was just looking at my good friend Jagdish, who's an avid golfer. So the best example I can think of in completed staff work is sports. Either take sports like golf or cricket. You know, in golf, people keep hitting the ball in the greens. The most interesting thing professionals talk about perfecting is not how we hit the ball. It's called the backswing. What you do after you hit the ball. Do you perfect the backswing? Why? Because the backswing tells you how good the real swing that you hit. So people spend the differentiation between a good golfer and a not so good golfer is the backswing. If you see the picture of any golf sports personality in newspaper, you will never see that he is hitting the ball. Nobody cares about where did he hit the ball. People only look at the swing. You see him his club on the back, and people beautifully capture how nice the swing is. So that's the completed staff work. How do you follow through something that you did? Be it writing, studying for an exam or working in a company, following through is extremely important. That's where I think the completed staff work comes in. I'm sure many of you know this great personality, General Colin Powell. He was a former chief of staff as well as Secretary of State in the US. He has a very beautiful formula. I found it very fascinating, which is, he says, what differentiated me from the rest of the generals many a times is the formula called 40-70. The whole world is waiting for all kinds of inputs to be gathered, then I analyze and then take an action. I don't waste my time. Invariably, when I am in the 40th to 70th percent of the facts that is needed, I use my guts, my knowledge to take a call and I move on. So I have the timing advantage. So he says, that is how I completed many tasks. Sure enough, I failed in few, but nobody talked about where I failed. People only talk about the good stuff that I did. So that's the second C of completion. And the third one, which I really feel is most important, is what's life if you don't look at this third C, which is contribution. What did I mean by that? It's a fascinating conversation. You will have it when you are in mid-50s. So you can learn from someone who's going through the same conversation with my colleagues who are in the retirement age. Oh, they say, no, Ganesh, I need to give back to the industry, or I need to give back. I'm going to be a teacher after retire. And so the whole academy is waiting for them. He has forgotten what he studied in engineering 35, 40 years back. But people realize now, and then trying to say that I want to be a teacher. Why do you need to wait for 55, 60 if you want to contribute? The world is so good, you can do it simultaneously. As Peter Drucker very famously said, you got to live in more than one world. Just not, if I'm working as a marketing person, just not in marketing, but what kind of skill set I can have so that I can be deployed in more than one field. Okay, that's a very interesting comment that I read. Okay, how can I operationalize this idea of contribution? So I've been practicing this and I found it very energizing, and I'll just share this small story. Again, I'll take my good friend Jagdish, since I know him personally very well, right? The idea is about whom did you lift today? Just remember this phrase, whom did you lift today, right? Let's assume that Jagdish and his wife Varsha are going on a now beautiful day. Let's assume it's the day before Diwali. Commercial Street, Jagdish, or let's say Brigade Road, with his young son Nihar. Just 2.5, that's 2 years, just 2.5 feet height. So they obviously wanted to have a nice time, but some shopping is one, but they really wanted to stroll in the commercial street. But as they're walking and about to enter the street, the kid is very happy because his wife has told the son, look, it's going to be a beautiful day, lots of balloons, colored balloons, so much stuff is happening, lights, it's a wonderful day. And both of them want to be relieved, so they're just walking with the kid. Couple of minutes, you know what happens typically. If you're a parent, you will know. The kid starts murmuring, no, lift me. So obviously first time, let's say his wife tried to convince Nihar, and after some time he still continued to murmur, and then it became a cry. At that time she gives up and looks at Jagdish and said, Jagdish, I can't manage him, you manage him. And Jagdish again tries to do all his sales techniques that he learned in Wipro and IBM, but nothing worked. He convinced and convinced, finally he gave up and he said, okay, I'm going to lift you, Nihar. When he started to just bend down and about to lift Nihar, his son, something like a bullet struck him. What is it? He didn't see what he and his wife described all the while, beautiful lights, balloons, colored stuff and all that. He saw boots, chappals, shoes, completely claustrophobic, hundreds and hundreds of legs all around. Imagine at that height of 2.5 feet, the kid didn't have the same vision what his wife and him painted. The kid really wasn't crying because it couldn't walk. The kid was not seeing what they were saying, okay? So when he lifted Nihar, all it happened was he just opened up his idea of what they have been describing. Then he was so happy. And I believe you can lift somebody. So the metaphor is, can you lift somebody every day? A youngster can lift a parent can lift you, you can lift a neighbor, you can lift somebody in your class who's not doing very well. Lifting here means make him feel better. This evening when you go and you haven't spoken to your grandfather who is, let's say, in a sick bed in his room, go and say, hello, grandpa. He will feel so good. He said, I don't have anything, I just wanted to hold you and say something to you. Lifting here means contributing. So make this as your regular day-to-day affairs. Every day you feel it has got phenomenal effect. Particularly in a world when we are going to be collaborating and working together in teams, lifting somebody will be, over time, mutual. And when you are lifting someone, be prepared to get lifted, which means ask for help when you need it. I think that's going to be wonderful. So those are 3 things I really wanted to leave behind in terms of creation, completion, and contribution. And I really wish a wonderful time for the rest of the day and the evening. And before I finish, I want to tell you, today is the Founders' Day. Today is also Sir Vishweswara's birthday. And we also have Mr. Ashwini Datta, the chairman, ex-chairman of BL, his birthday. So we have a birthday boy in the audience. Okay? So congratulations to all of you and those who are going to graduate soon and those who are going to graduate after a few years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our second speaker is Professor G. Shainesh, Professor Marketing and Dean Administration, IIM Bangalore, has over 2 decades of research and teaching experience in India and abroad, including Göteborg University, Sweden, University of St. Gallen, Switzerland, Audencia, Nantes, and IESEG, France, Vienna University and MCI, Innsbruck, Austria, Bocconi University, Milan, and Curtin University of Technology, Perth. His research and teaching focus on CRM, brand management, services, marketing, and innovations. He leads the cross-functional research initiative on consumer insights. His case study, Narayana Netralaya, Expanding Affordable Eye Care, was second place winner in the Global Lens 2014 Next Billion Case Writing Competition. The Best Professor in Marketing Award was conferred on Professor Shainesh by the CMO Asia Council during the Best B Schools in Asia Awards, July 2011, Singapore. Professor Shainesh is the Editor-in-Chief of the Journal of Indian Business Research, JIBR, and Emerald UK publication. His papers on services and relationship marketing have been published in several leading journals, both at national and international levels. His books include Customer Relationship Management, A Strategic Perspective, Lakshmi Publications, and Customer Relationship Management, Emerging Concepts, Tools, and Application. I would like to invite Professor to enlighten us with his words.
Good evening. Let me just start by thanking Professor Sadagopan, as our association goes almost 2 decades back. When we used to work on the same corridor, I was there at IMB as a student, doctoral student, and Professor Sadagopan had just joined there, shifted from IIT Kanpur. I think one of the things that we did, as he rightly said, was that I used to be cheerful, but I think it was hiding a lot of fear, because by that time, when you are in the 4th year of your doctoral program and 3.5 years of your program, you're also concerned whether you will complete. Unlike a structured program where you have exams and you sort of finish and then you complete it, pretty much in a doctoral program, after the 2nd year, you are on your own. And I had seen seniors who had stayed for 7 years and 8 years, and I was pretty sure that I'm not going to stay for so long. So I'm going to reflect back on some of the things that I learned in the 4 years that I spent at IIM Bangalore. I had a great time because I was among the 2 doctoral students who had joined along with 150 MBA students or the PGP students. So I had a big advantage because I could make friends across batches. And if I reflect back on those things, I would think that some of them would be applicable to you. Majority of the students here are going to spend 5 years on campus. That's going to be a huge transformative years for you. The fact that you're here simply signifies that you're good. You're among the best, which is why IIIT recruited you, selected you from a huge pool of applicants. So it's taken for granted that you will learn. The system ensures that you will learn. You will go through the exams, you will pass, and you will have a great career if you choose to work for someone else. And as Ganesh said, if you choose to create something, you will do that, obviously. So what are 2 things that you may want to do at this place, whether you're joined for the 5-year program or for the 2-year program? And I would say that's actually most of it happens outside the classroom. And why would that be? If you are here, most likely you have been a great student all through your life. And your parents are very proud because you've done well in every milestone, 10th and 12th and then admissions test. So that's taken for granted. What makes you different is what you do to yourself. And what you do to yourself is based on what you create for yourself. And I'm going to use this theme of creation. I think the biggest advantage of studying in an elite, prestigious institution is the fact that you create a good network for yourself. You make friends, and they are lifelong buddies for you. So when I look back at my engineering days, on my IIM days, is the fact that I have a network of friends whom I just pick up a phone, make a small conversation, and anything that's required gets done. So please do that. Please work on the network. Create that network for yourself. And how do you create that? If you're just limiting yourselves to the academics, you cannot create that. I'm so happy that you have a wonderful sports center. I'm so happy to see the fact that some of you are talented to sit and invite us through a wonderful invocation, which means that there's a lot of effort, time that you spent during your growing years in cultivating that talent. Somehow when we are studying, we sort of seem to forget that, we have a talent, we had a passion, and that takes a back seat. So leverage that, bring it back, and there is academics will take care of yourself. You create a network because you're getting into different groups with whom you play, with whom you sing, with whom you dance, with whom you strum a guitar. Do that and your network grows across batches. And that network will stay with you throughout your life. Okay. The second thing I would like to talk about is how do you convert this passion into something that you want to pursue? And I've seen enough of my batchmates and subsequently students who would graduate, get into a job, and within sometimes 1 year, 2 years, they just don't like the job. So at some level, we are in India conditioned to follow our parents. And if you're good in studies, you get sort of pushed into engineering, medicine, or whatever, whatever is the fashion of that period. And then you sort of continue with that. And you have a passion which is outside that space. And you say, okay, let me do an MBA, let me go for higher studies and sort of discover that passion. I would say, that's not necessarily the best way. If you have a passion, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. I have a passion, and I like doing that, and that seems to be my hobby. Can I convert that into my career? When will that happen? If there's a passion, you have to ask yourself this question, am I good at it? Can I excel in it? If I excel in it, I should invest in that passion so that it can become my career. So there's no difference between a hobby and a career. Now, the third thing is the reality that if there is a passion and if I excel in it, can I monetize it? So that's the business jargon. Okay? Can I monetize it? Which means that can I live on this passion and I excel on it? And if I have all three, that's great. But many times, you feel that I need something else to support this passion. So never let your passion die. You may still take up a career, you may do a business, you may work for some organization or create your own business. Let this passion keep the balance that we need in life. And why is that important? Increasingly, we see that we're fairly isolated. While we see that we are on social networks, we are connected with people, but it's fairly superficial. And I teach customer relationship management, and the core of relationship management is social interactions, confidence, the trust that you have with other people. So it's not so many how many likes and how many friends you have on social network, but the real network that comes because you have a balance in your life. So to sum up, basically, as you go through this journey, as Ganesh earlier said, and I'm sure Professor Sadgopan keeps reiterating it, it's a learning process. It's a journey that will continue throughout your life and you will learn new things. But develop one passion. If possible, pursue that and excel in that. And ideally, if you can sort of monetize it, there's no difference between your hobby and your career. And I say, use this platform, use this institution, use the network to do all that you want in your life. And I'm sure you'll have a great journey that you'll cherish all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We have our third guest, Ms. Sita Lakshmi S., who is currently the Chief of News Bureau at the Times of India, Bangalore. As the city editor, she is responsible for all the news related to Bangalore, from crime to infrastructure and from education to health every day. She has written around 4,000 articles, including news stories, features, interviews, during her career spanning 17 years. She is the recipient of the prestigious IIIT Fulbright Scholarship of the United States in 2010. She has won 7 awards for excellence in journalism and reporting so far. I would like to invite her to speak a few words.
Professor Sadagopan, thank you for those kind words that you said about me, of how I told you. I don't remember what I told you at all during my conversation with you. So all I remember is when we have to get a column, an expert column, the only person I can think of who can just generate or manufacture, I'm not saying that, is Professor Sadagopan. I remember when we wanted a piece, and he was sitting in the Dasara procession. And he said, you know, Sita, I'm sitting in a Dasara procession. I can't sit and write it for you. I said, no, you can't say no to me. So he actually did that. He wrote the piece and sent it back to us. So brevity is something that is so much for us. It's pounded on us. So this 10-minute, I think, is a huge time for us, because we are constantly told, restrict your word. No, the reader is not reading the newspaper anymore. The reader is reading all his news on the mobiles. And therefore, we need to write everything in 60 words and 90 words. I'm not here to advise, because I think journalists have no business to advise anyone. We are in a business where we are just to inform people. But I would like to talk a little bit about why it is so important to go beyond what we are doing every day, and something to do with spirituality. I think people today, end their lives for very frivolous reasons. And we in the newspaper industry on a daily basis come across so many things, you know. There is happy news, there is very sad news, so much so that we become numb. I'm not saying that people should become numb, but I think it's so important to be mentally strong at all times, irrespective of the profession that we are in. And I want to tell you that during the 17 and a half years that I have been a journalist, it has taught me how to be so tough with everything that you do. So much so that every day I have a team of 14 people, and we have 2 crime reporters. So when the crime reporter walks in every day, when I do my news list, he says, nothing much on crime today, just 3 murders. I'm supposed to just not even react and say, 3 murders is big for anyone. But I'm not supposed to react and say, just 3 murders. I'm not supposed to react at all. Okay, that goes as a routine. You know, that's how we deal with it. And I think that's what this profession tells you, that in a city like this, or the news that we see every day, 3 murders is nothing. So there are principals who tell me that the toughest job today is to run an educational institution, because you're dealing with so much emotion, so many young minds, and how do they deal with the problems that they have. You can't go and talk to every student every day. I'm sure Professor has done this beautifully for the last 18 years in terms of managing so many batches, and so many of the alumnus who are here who have done so well. I want to tell you how, going back to the newsroom, how we are toughened on a daily basis. When this news about the journalist Gauri Lankesh broke that night, we had actually closed everything. The Times of India's newsroom works very, our deadlines are very, very strict, because our print order is very high. And so we had closed. It was about 8 o'clock, and we were winding up. I meant winding up is from the reporting side, because for the other section, it means making the pages and giving headlines and putting all the graphics in place. So from my end, it was all over for the day, and I was going to, start looking at stories, what we will do for the next day, and so that was all over. When my crime reporter walked in and said, Gauri Lankesh has been shot. So I'm saying everything changes, because the pages are done, all stories are planned for a particular page. And when this happens at 8:30 or 8:45, it's a huge challenge for us to put things together. And I think that's what we did. It is not easy to probably call up people at that time and ask, how do you feel? When someone is dead, you don't ask them, how do you react? You don't ask that. But we as journalists do these things on a daily basis. We ask people, so give us your reaction. We don't call, of course, Gauri's sister, which I tried. I tried calling Kavita Lankesh, and then I kept telling myself, what am I doing? Why am I going and asking her? What is the question that I'm going to ask her? What will I ask her? Will I ask her what happened? We know what is happening. So I'm saying you tend to become so numb and so tough that everything else just goes out of you and you're just concentrating on work. That is for me the biggest takeaway in this profession, that you just focus on what is in front of you. You just do that. Like I think my previous speakers put it so beautifully, that just focus on what you have right there and don't think of what you want to do 10 years from now. For me, it is not even 10 years, it is just tomorrow morning. How am I going to get the paper delivered for you at 6 a.m.? Putting everything in place and still being the best in town. And we did it because we had exactly about 90 minutes to put an entire page together. My editor came and said, we're going to do an entire page on her. How am I going to do that? So we had to put reporters on the field. We had to put reporters who will do reactions from those. The investigation, the police is not speaking at that time. They are not going to talk to journalists at all at that point of time, because I think that's the last thing they want to do. I'm sure nobody wants to speak to journalists. I don't know how he chose to call me here and talk to all of you. So I'm saying various jobs, I think, teach you how to be very resilient to so many things that you face every day. And I think if you really want to know how to get tough in the shortest possible time to actually face anything that comes your way, you should come and spend time in our newsrooms and see how we do things. And you all can be a part of the newsroom. Come and see how you can do things. So I just want to end that. No advices from journalists. Thank you very much, and it's a great opportunity to talk to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to request Director Sir, Chandra ma'am and all our guests of honors to mark the start of 18th anniversary celebration by cutting the cake, and also whoever has their birthday today, please join the ceremony. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Moving ahead, I am grateful to our alumni who found time from their busy schedules to be with us here today. We have Mr. Hemchandra Rao, President of Alumni Council, to address the audience. Please, sir.
Thank you, folks. Thank you, students, for making the alumni a part of this day. Thank you, Professor, for bringing back memories of that first day. Well, I think what you left out is, in addition to the questions that 136 students were firing at you, you also had parents of some of them asking both of you a lot of questions, and ITPL was, the admission process went well beyond 9 o'clock, and truly, as Professor said, we have turned major today. I just got some numbers. We are approximately around 2,000 alumni spread across the continents, across a lot of companies. Name any major, they have been there, and we have our representatives on board. Professor's favorite word, alumni are brand ambassadors. So even before you step into a company, you would have what the company pursues about you is based on how the alumni have performed. And being a part of the Alumni Council, I had the opportunity of listening to few recruiters this year, and they were fabulous. You just have to listen to them, and I was working with Divijay sir to get it in print so that the alumni gets recorded and the other companies come to know. Also, the rate at which the Alumni Club is growing is very high these days with the new programs. We have IM-Techs passing out, M-Techs, and also, of course, Director has got some more plans for our digital societies, and also including the extended family. In this context, I would just take a couple of minutes to highlight what we are doing from the council front. We are working with Jagdish sir and Roshni sir to do a few things like mock interviews, mentoring, standardization of CVs, and some more things are in the pipeline. Not only that, I think you would have definitely seen some of your seniors come over as recruiters. And that brings me to one of the lofty target that the director has set for us. He said at some point, I would like to see all the batch students being completely recruited by the alumni. And we hope we will work towards ensuring that. So there are so many ways of getting connected to us. Please do connect with Divijay Sir, Roshni, or we'll give you the things. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Gunjan sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Registrar Commodore S.R. Sridhar to announce the names of the winners of competitions that were organized by branding team. Students participated in the contest with great zeal and enthusiasm. Finally, it's time to announce who the lucky winners are. Kindly note that all the competitions were judged on the basis of social media engagement on Twitter and Facebook, which includes number of times the hashtag IIITB Foundation Day and IIIT Bangalore were used, plus the shares, likes, captions and creativity of the photo.
Good evening to all of you. Before I announce the results, I would like to clarify that IIIT students are actually hyperactive on the social media. So having said that, this was just a competition to sort of give some focus on various aspects of IIITB and where you need to focus. So the first category of prizes in this is naturography. So the contest was about capturing a picture of nature with captions anywhere in Electronic City. The first prize goes to Shreya Joshi, MTech first year. The second prize goes to one of our alum, Joydeep, MTech 2013-15 batch. Thank you, sir. The next competition was appropriately launched on Teachers' Day. It is Identify Your Faculty. As you're all aware that we posted some quizzes online asking you to identify your faculty members. So we have chosen the person who guessed more than 10 faculty members along with other criteria, of course. So the first prize goes to Tejas Kota, IIMTech second year. The second prize goes to Amal Mishra, MTech first year. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now it's time for the best groupie. I hope you all have seen all these wonderful pictures that have been posted on Facebook, and you've also, many of you have enthusiastically liked these pictures. So along with our students, our staff also participated very enthusiastically in this competition. And the best two groupies are Abhijit and team, MTech first year. May I request Ms. Sita Lakshmi to please come on stage to give the prizes. The next prize literally goes to the face of our institute. Can you guess? It's Maitri and her team. Our director, Professor Sadagopan, had announced a competition for MTech first year students. It was to post a pic of the first few days at IIIT-Bangalore. So we got lots of entries, but the winners, we have 4 winners. May I request the director to please come over the stage and hand over the prize. Deepanjan, Aman Jain, Soni Pagdhar, Bhakti Mantri. Thank you very much, sir.